Hi, good evening. My name's David. I am running the last in our current little run of Voidheart Symphony tonight. Voidheart Symphony is a game by Amina McJander, currently in development and available in beta on itch. If you do want to check it out, I'll put a link to that in the comments down below. So the game, I won't go into too long a spiel on it today because I say this is our final session, so not the best one to start off on anyway if you are watching this. But yeah, well, this is a game of sort of fighting against abuses of power and injustice in a dark city using the weird metaphysical power of this entity known as the castle. The void, and the strangeness that goes with that. This game is being run as part of the Gauntlet, which is an online gaming group. We meet up and play games ranged through our sort of gaming calendar. We also have a number of podcasts. We also have a monthly gaming zine called Codex. You can find information on all of that stuff at our website at gauntlet-rpg.com. Again, link to that down below if you are interested in finding out more about who we are, what we do, and all that sort of thing. So yeah, with a quick rattle through all of that, I will just ask our players to briefly introduce themselves, their character, and a little bit about what happened to them last time, and then we'll get into things. So as ever, I'll go in our character keeper order. So Trevor, if you'd like to introduce yourself and tell us a bit about your character.
Hi, I'm Treb. I use he, them pronouns, and I'm playing Katie Schultz, a former teen actress from a urban fantasy TV show, who is currently trying to study for a role in a hospital drama, and has gotten mixed up in some real life supernatural weirdness.
Brilliant. Yeah, thank you very much. That's great. And Anders, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Yeah, hello, I'm Anders. I am playing Harley, both he, him. Harley is a janitor at the hospital. He has also gotten mixed up in this supernatural strangeness. Yeah, I think that's about it. Well, last time he fought a marble statue with his mop. I think that was the most pivotal moment for him.
Excellent. Yeah, that's brilliant. Thank you. And last but not least, for tonight's session, we're unfortunately missing one of our players tonight, but Brandon, if you'd like to introduce your character and tell us a little bit about them.
Hi, I'm Brandon, any pronouns. I'm playing Jocasta, who is a captive of the other world, the castle. And she was a chief surgical resident at the hospital when she was killed by in a nasty way by a minion of one of bad people. And her spirit has refused to give up and found a vehicle to come back to the world in a way through the agency of someone else. The last time that she was there, she fought this winged statue that other people have referred to. It released snakes upon her, which bit her horribly and poisoned her, from which she was rescued by someone else. But she was able to recover and effectively do a little combat surgery on it to help to subdue it by plunging her hands into its internals in the ways that she knows how to do. And so she is battered, but ultimately everyone was victorious.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Yeah. So yeah, last time the rebels had been exploring the castle, had encountered one of the enforcers of the vassal Anton LeFevre. They'd learned some things about him as well as defeating this enforcer. We had come out back into the mundane world again. People had a brief moment to rest and recuperate after the ordeals of the time in the castle. So what we're going to do now is we are sort of back onto our into our day-to-day time back in the city. Yeah, as I said, you've probably got enough to confront the vassal now if you want. Though there's probably still a couple more pieces of information you can find out outside in the city if you wish to do so. Yeah, if, as ever, I'll remind you can take each day in the city. You can take either one or two of the mundane actions, which are all around kind of. Or mostly focused on sort of recovering, recuperating, meeting up with people and stuff like that. We saw obviously a couple of those at the end of last session. And you can take 1 or 0 shadow actions. These are all actions to obviously to dealing more with the castle side of things. So generally speaking, what we're talking here is about sort of doing investigation stuff into what's going on with the vassal in the outside world. This also includes, if you want, diving back into the castle, which is also, if you want to do that now, that is also cool. So I think I'm just going to get, again, just as I did last time, a quick sort of straw poll. Is there sort of further investigation stuff people still want to do out in the real world, or do you feel you're at a point where you would like to just go sort of go back into the castle and try and confront the vassal? I will actually just again remind so what we are looking for taking on the vassal, for sort of starting the final showdown, as it were, is the lift the mask move. This requires you to basically, you get to roll 1 dice for each of these facts that is true. That you have confronted the vassal in person in the city, that you've uncovered the full details of what they're planning, you've met people the vassal holds dear, you've defeated at least one of their enforcers, your mundane self has suffered at their orders, or there's organized resistance to the vassal among the city's people. So the 2 that you have done, you have ticked off, are that you have met people the vassal holds dear, and you have defeated at least one of their enforcers. So that will give you 2 dice for making the lift the mask move, which means that you are capable at this point of actually succeeding on that roll, if you choose to go back in. But you're close to uncovering the full details of what they're planning if you're not quite there yet. And also, yeah, and you also have obviously the ability to confront the vassal in person if you wish. The other 2 might be a little more difficult to arrange in short time, but are also possible. So yeah, what are people thinking?
Yeah, I think trying to at least either confront him in person or find out the full details seems like something we could do while still having a satisfying confrontation, without spending too much time. And maybe if we're lucky, we can do both of those at once, or at least in fairly short order. So that's what I would want to go for.
Yeah, absolutely. We understand a lot of what he's trying to do, and we have the means to find out some more So I think that's certainly worth doing, and I think it's quite likely that we will confront him in the process of doing it. But we should do one of those for sure.
Yeah, either confront him in person or like try and find out the rest of the plan. I think is the best options.
Yeah, sure thing. That sounds good. That sounds good. Okay, so yeah, just again as a reminder. So in terms of the sort of the shadow moves, essentially the if you're doing sort of investigating, we run those as sort of regular scenes, as it were, mostly, unless it is something just kind of one specific thing you want to do. So there are some moves around that. So yeah, no, that sounds good to me. So I guess my question will be, do you think that you are kind of going to be just all cooperating on sort of this, on like investigating and potentially confronting him, or are there specific tasks that people think that they want to take on separately? Either works for me. Whatever you think is more interesting for you.
One or two of us could maybe confront him, I'm thinking, as a distraction, while the other one or two goes and tries to get the information.
Yeah, that certainly works.
Sorry, I'm just reading something.
Yeah,
No
I
worries.
mean, if we confront him and we're really lucky, we also get to suffer at his hands for another die.
Well, you can.
Yeah. Yeah, true. It has to be our mundane self, and you're kind of out of that.
I don't have one to suffer, or I've suffered as much as I can already, and it wasn't at their hands.
So he was connected to this company at the university or something.
That's right. Yeah. So there's he's sort of they work at. He does his research out of the university labs and the hospital.
Right.
And there's also like a company headquarters or company office in town. Yeah. That's more on the money side of it than the actual research side. Yeah.
And in the research, I mean, we've already had a look at some of his records and such. So what's the missing bit? We need his personal notes or something.
Yes, something like that. You've kind of got you've got a good idea of sort of what he is doing. Like now, it's kind of the sort of the end game, really, that you're not certain. I mean, obviously, he clearly wants to develop this drug, but there are kind of you think there's something a little more to it than that.
Well, we know what he really wants. We just don't know, right, how he intends to get there.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we found what he wanted in the castle.
Yeah, we did. What was that he wanted to bring back people from the dead, or was
No. I mean, ultimately, what he wants. Remember the Nobel Prize that you're not filled in.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean that's clearly what matters to him. The question is how he's going.
Maybe
how he's actually going to achieve that, that's the missing bit. I want to go. So yeah, I and necessarily with Lucid's help as an NPC, I can go look at that, especially if you guys can engage him and keep him from interrupting me.
Sure. I mean, both me and Katie are regularly at the hospital, so we should be able to find some situation where we can engage him and try to keep him busy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
While you go to, I guess, his home or something and try to.
Wherever I think his, yeah, I guess he'd keep his important notes at home. Right, his office. He probably has an office at the hospital, but it's probably nothing. But it's probably not something he uses a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
it's
yeah.
also the other thing that you will definitely be aware of, Jocasta, is that if he has got some, if there's some like serious financial backing behind the research he's doing, there's a very good chance he'll be watched a lot closer in the university hospitals, or if there's anything he is personally hiding, it's
Right.
much more likely to be at home.
So what I'm presumably getting his home address isn't too difficult.
Yeah, you'll probably have found it, just through the end of other stuff you've looked into.
Right. So what we're going to do is we're going to go stake it out specifically.
Yeah, absolutely. If you'd like to make me a roll with Rebel Eyes, which is a check on.
I think what I'll do first is pass beneath notice.
Oh yeah, sure thing. Yeah, sure thing.
Because I have the Vagabond as a major covenant, which will give advantage on Rebel Eyes.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. Yeah.
But that doesn't mean I know what to roll on pass notice because I'm. Hang on.
Yeah, sure thing.
Notice. Right. Check against infamy, which is Lucid's infamy, which you have to tell me what it is.
Oh yeah, sorry, I helpfully hid that because I thought, oh yeah, we won't have that. So now I've got to. Yeah, no, got the right one. Cool. Infamy is 3.
Okay. And and I am going to okay, I don't want to take a piss. I'm going to take fetters to give this move advantage.
Sure thing.
And the rationale here is the actually no, I'm going to take a biz after all because going to somebody's home, even for a purpose like this, even when I don't really know them and don't really care that much about them, reminds me that I don't have a home anymore. That essentially my home is the very beautiful prison that I live in, and that every place else is something I visit. And yeah, so that's a sobering reminder of my status.
Yeah, nice.
Okay,
nice.
So we roll with advantage, which means we roll 2 dice and take the better.
Yeah, 3 dice and take the best 2. But yeah,
3 dice and takes the best 2. Okay. Okay, so I've got 1 hit.
Okay, cool. So yeah, that is that's a weak hit. So you will be able to pass beneath notice long enough to kind of stake out the house and so on. But you have to pick 2 from the list. So you have to leave the situation right now or be discovered. Someone's suspicious of you, or you get separated from your allies or pulled out of position.
Somebody's suspicious.
Yep.
Yeah, and we have to get separated. We're basically hiding. We've hidden in like a feature of the garden or something like that. So somebody's watching, somebody else is watching the house. And we stumble across from them, but we basically have to hide there on the nearby grounds or in the, in a stairwell or something like that. It's not necessarily the simplest place to get out of without problems.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, I think it's maybe it's like a very not like a big apartment building or something, but it's one of those sort of a bigger, older house that's been kind of subdivided up into sort of different apartments. And I think it actually has like it is all gated in essentially. It's so you're sort of in the grounds, but yeah, you kind of you'll have to sort of get out. You'll actually have to kind of climb over a wall or something similar to get back out again.
Right. We ducked the gate, but it wasn't. But somebody saw something.
Yeah.
And okay. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do something that I haven't gotten to do yet. Right. If I can, let me just check I can do this. So the gear I have is a Stygian charm, which I can use to make the substantial and insubstantial briefly.
Cool.
So we're going to walk through the wall.
Perfect. Yeah, perfect.
We're just going to pick the least obvious wall to have an obstruction or thing like that. We're going to bypass any alarms or cameras or something like that. We're just going to step, straight through the wall, make a way insubstantial up to his study or his office.
Yeah, sure thing.
I don't know anything about alarms, and neither does Lucid, but they weren't designed to stop someone like me.
Exactly.
And then we'll go look. And this is Rebel Eyes.
Yeah, absolutely. So if for this one, if you want to roll with heat.
And I'm rolling with heat, and her heat is also 3, but I have an advantage again because of the vagabond. All right, that's not a roll you see every day.
Oof, yeah, that is
that's a perfect roll.
Yeah, indeed.
It's impeccable. It cannot be improved upon.
Yep, that is impressive. So I think that what will happen
Fucking
Um,
catastrophe.
is you as I say, you're sort of you sneak into the apartment. You find his office, and there's a big old desk in there, like really old. This like proper antique desk, with sort of, it does have like a or at the moment more probably it has like the charging port for a laptop, though the laptop itself isn't there currently. Yeah, it's got like a charging point and screen and all that set up. But yeah, this is, you know, this is clearly like his office. You can feel that. You can see like the you have seen signs of like an alarm system as you've come in. There's a little keypad next to the door, but nothing. Certainly, nothing seems to be going off. But as you approach the desk itself, it's not an alarm that goes off, but on the desk, it's there is just a sudden flare of like an odd purplish fire in a strange symbol bursts up in front of you. And you can feel a sort of greasy static electricity in the air, as there is clearly some sort of unnatural ward placed on this object. And I think I'm going to leave you there for the moment and switch over to the other two. Yeah, so Harley, Katie, what is your planned approach for confronting Dr. LeFevre?
I'm not sure what we're going to do in fiction, because now I've been looking at the moves, and it seems like if we're going to avoid that 111 problem, it seems, since Treb reminded me here that if I make a move that's affected by scared and miss, I can upgrade it to a weak hit, and make a stand, which seems suitable here, is affected by scared. Afraid, scared, yeah. So looking at it from the purely mechanical standpoint, and also make a stand seems like a reasonable thing
Absolutely.
to do here. It seems like I should make the roll, but maybe Katie should try to assist me.
Yeah.
Is that the evoke the covenant thing? Or maybe some other move?
Sure. That sounds good. So I guess, yeah. Like
fiction. Yeah, sorry.
So my covenant move is, so long as you're standing side by side with other rebels, you can mark a condition instead of them, and vice versa.
Cool. Awesome. So yeah, if like I said, that sounds like a plan. So are you just going to basically try and just go up to him as he is sort of doing his rounds or whatever else in the hospital?
Yeah, I think because Harley he's feeling very protective of these patients that LeFevre is trying to recruit as his test subjects, and he's both angry and scared. I think he's basically he's going to maybe not start yelling at him, but almost, and like follow him around and say, "You can't do this. This is you're ruining these people, and you're tricking them. Don't believe him. He's yeah, that sort of thing."
Making a scene.
Yeah, making a scene, definitely, and telling them. I mean, he's spouting these true things, but maybe not very coherently, and he can't really tell anyone how he's found this out. So he's But he's making a scene and he's being very emotional.
Yeah, and I think that the initial way that Dr. LeFevre, he's kind of even though you're making a bit of a scene, he still sort of barely notices you at first until you start kind of obviously making more effort to actually kind of get his attention, and you could tell that he's sort of you could kind of see the sort of the eye roll, and he's clearly sort of planning to just like walk off and ignore you. But yeah, if you would like to make that roll with that is with
it's with disadvantage, I think, because of my condition.
That is correct. Yep.
But I also think there's this evoke the covenant thing. When you support another rebel, spend a point of your crew covenant to give their roll advantage. You'll share in the consequences of their move, good and bad.
Right. So I think that's something I'll have to do.
Yeah.
And basically, Katie is there and is like basically there are patients that are like undergoing the treatment there, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Right. So I'll like be going around and like saying, they are looking kind of like, because the are you feeling all right? You get this kind of, your eyes look kind of darker. I'm putting doubt on like, is this treatment? Is there something wrong that's wrong this treatment?
Yeah, and I think also just Katie being there kind of makes it more difficult for LeFevre to just have the hospital call security or something, because she's an important person, unlike Harley, who's just a janitor.
Sure thing. Yeah, no, that sounds great. So yeah, if you would like to make that check against blood, you have disadvantage from scared, but the advantage from evoking the covenant cancels that out, so you're rolling flat.
Here goes. Well, that's still terrible, but since I met up with Katie last time and talked through my fear. So when your next mace roll affected by that condition, heal it or upgrade the result to a weak hit. So I'll upgrade that to a weak hit.
Sure thing. Perfect. So yeah, you that's a weak hit on make a stand. So you get to choose 2 from the list. They don't cause you problems, they can't dismiss what you say, or they focus only on you.
Well, I think I have to take they focus only on you for the plan to work, to keep him busy, maybe.
Yeah.
And then they don't cause you problems, probably. I mean, I don't care if he can dismiss what I say as long as he's busy. That's the important part.
Yeah. So that's great. So I'll narrate back into that in a second. The only last thing as a mechanical thing is that on a weak hit, you can't help but make it personal. So you have to mark another condition.
Yeah. And here, Katie could take the condition for me.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's good or not.
I'll take angry. I'm angry about what he's doing to these people.
Sure thing. Yeah.
Sure.
Perfect. No, that's brilliant. So I think that LeFevre, he doesn't like lay hands on you. He doesn't do anything like that, but he kind of almost like pushes past you into the corridor, and sort of stops, like, and as he's on the other side of the doorway out into the corridor, he sort of turns around and sort of angrily whispers to you, "I don't know who you are, but I've seen you following me around before, and I don't know what you think you know about me, but you are entirely mistaken if you think that what I am doing is wrong. What would you know?" And
Yeah, I think Harley's just he's so emotional. He's just pointing to the patients, and you're hurting them, and this won't work. It's I don't think since he can dismiss what I'm saying, I don't bring up anything about
Are you
seeing his
doing it to help?
grandmother or anything like that. No, nothing that would make him really notice what's going on. It's just
think-
an emotional outburst, basically.
I think Katie will like also pitch in and beside Harley and like, is it? Are you trying to help them? I'm not sure that's the point, is it?
cool. I think I'm going to ask you, Katie, if you'd like to make me a connect roll.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is probably going to be on infamy.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say it's probably more infamy than lack here, because infamy is convincing them you're worth their time, whereas putting up a force front is lack. And I don't think you're being deceptive in this thing, but I think.
So rolling 2d6, and I want to roll over my infamy.
That's it.
That's a strong hit.
Perfect. So on a hit, they'll give you a chance to make your case. They'll answer a few questions or do a minor favor that doesn't risk their own standing. On a strong hit, also pick one. They reveal far more than they normally would. They give you access to a restricted location or valuable item, or you hit it off and add them as a minor covenant.
They reveal far more than they normally would.
Yep, perfect. And so he says, these people, these in the trial, I am still making their lives better. I'm giving them a better quality of life than they otherwise would have had. It doesn't, yes, what I'm working on isn't yet fully complete. It will not make their lives longer, but for that little time they have left, it will be better, a better quality of life than they could have hoped for before. And in time, with the work that I've done for them, with what I'm able to take from them, I can refine what I have, make it better, more powerful. Soon it will be, I'll be able to extend life, perhaps indefinitely. Do you realize the power of what I have discovered? I can grant people near immortality. So yes, a few people will not even suffer, but a few people will help me in my aim. But you must see the potential for this. I will revolutionize medicine as we know it. What cost wouldn't you pay for such a thing?
To live forever? I think that would be horrible.
You say
Easy
that.
for you to say when you're not the one paying the cost. It's these people. They're the ones who will have to pay. Everyone else, not you.
As I say, it is nothing that it doesn't harm them. It merely it gives them a better quality of life in the time they have left. And then I think he'll just shake his head and say, but I do not know how you have, I do not know what your interest in my work is, but it will continue. And if you try and get in my way, I have powerful friends, and you, what can you do to me? And I think with that, he is going to that at that point sort of make a move to leave.
I think Harley really, really wants to just punch him in the face. But I think it's better if I don't.
Yeah, that's better for your job at least.
yeah, definitely. Maybe
There's you know, there's an automatic way to get fired is to punch one of the
Yeah.
doctors.
yeah. So maybe Katie can like steer me away or something.
Yeah, I'll like put a hand in your shoulder when I see you like maybe take a step forward and like, no, we're done here.
Yeah, we're done here.
Mm-hmm.
We're not done.
Excellent. Perfect. So, and with that, we will head back over to his home. Jocasta, you can feel this ward. It's clearly drawing on the power of the castle.
Yes.
And you can feel it kind of start to sort of close in around. It's almost like feels like it's kind of drawing you into it. It's got that kind of feeling of like a way to the attraction, probably not identical to, but not dissimilar to your prison. What are you going to do?
But Lucid hears me scream a little bit. Don't think anybody else does. I'm going to call on the star because I don't know. Because I need help finding a way in or out.
Yeah, sure thing.
And I have the star as covenant.
Yeah, perfect. So yeah, if you would, sorry, I'm. I've lost. Is it doing that thing? Sorry, it's yeah. Sorry, I was doing that thing where the thing was hidden on the what's it again? So yeah, the
yes,
cool.
The thing was hidden on the what's it?
Yeah, indeed.
Very much so.
Cool. So yeah, perfect. Okay, yes. So what you will I'm going to give you both a way forward and a way out. Basically, you can, if you like flee now, basically, you will be able to exit this room, the building, before
The word slam
was
shut.
slam shut. Yeah, exactly. You'll be able to kind of, you do have time to basically, you know, jump out a window, whatever else. So that is your sort of way out. If you want to press on, you would have to contest the force of the ward itself, which in mechanical terms would essentially be a event roll. But you know, that does obviously come with the risk that if it goes badly, the ward will catch you. But if you're able to overcome it, then you will be able to continue your investigation in this place.
Yeah. I'll vent.
Yep, absolutely. So yeah, when you, so we've not seen the vent roll yet. So when you call the void's power in the city, choose 1 to 5 effects. I'll just go through them now so people are aware of it, even though we're probably not going to touch this. But you can either you can terrify everyone present, conceal
They're
your
already
identity.
terrified.
Yeah, exactly. Conceal your identity from all onlookers. Call on a power or ability you'd have in the castle. Perceive something you couldn't otherwise sense, and you shrug off anything that would hurt you. Purely for shrugging off anything, purely for like not being caught by the ward. Sorry, shrugging off anything would be enough. Concealing your identity from all onlookers would also probably mean that you could stop it before LeFevre is aware that this has gone off. The only disadvantage to picking multiple effects is if you only roll a weak hit, you suffer more consequences essentially. So whatever you want to choose is up to you. This will be a roll with fealty, but you will have advantage on it from your star move.
Okay. So I take those 2 and that avoids the ward.
Yeah, that's right.
And then all right, I guess I don't need to perceive something I couldn't otherwise sense because I know what's happening.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
And right, my castle powers are neither here nor there for this because it's not an entity.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll do those 2.
Yep, perfect.
Right, and right, and so what I am calling upon the void is, I don't exist. I am not here. There is nothing to trap. I died a long time ago. And so, what do you think you're? Who and what do you think you're trapping? Really?
Nice.
So let's see how that works. Okay, dice, you owe me from last time. It's a weak hit.
Okay.
They didn't know me very much.
Sure thing. So on a weak hit, you pick as many backlashes from the list as you chose.
Okay.
Option,
well,
so 2 in this case.
Automatically, yeah. The darkness changes some part of my form. And let's see. An animal or object doesn't seem right here. So it's either a part of the departing shadow will appear the next time in the castle, or one of my covenants gets hurt. I don't want my covenants to get hurt, so a bit of the departing shadow will appear.
Sure thing. Sure thing.
I'm the darkness change is a part of my form. It's I think what that is. These character sheets are so substantial.
Yeah.
So I'm my hair's gone white.
Cool.
And yeah, the color just strips away as I pull away from the sword. And it pools as a little blot of ink on the desk.
Nice. I like it. Yeah. And as the ward dissipates, and you can the ink, I think, sort of pools on the desk for a moment, and then it kind of it's almost like it's sucked into the desk itself. It's like absorbed instantly, and yeah, you are there. But you what you will do when you're sort of able to have you kind of get that, you can't feel, now that this sort of like you've had this initial ward, you can't feel any other unnatural protections in this place.
Okay.
You're able to have kind of a proper look around the room, and
Right.
you'll find like inside the desk there is like a notebook that's clearly in Anton LeFevre's hand, but the other thing in there is an old leather bound book, again old, very old, and it's essentially like an old alchemical tome. There's all the sort of like alchemical symbolism throughout it, and it will kind of naturally open to a place. In fact, it's got one of those big ribbon bookmarks into it, where there is this alchemical formula in it, and you will recognize actually, like, it has been written on in pencil next to some of these sort of alchemical symbols with like chemical formulas on them, which a few of those you will recognize as various compounds that were used in the drugs that he's been developing, but the whole the sort of the idea of this particular thing, it's clearly it's a kind of like, it is the sort of the elixir of eternal youth type of thing, but what you will realize in this is that one of the steps in this process is essentially extracting, is sort of like infusing and then extracting this elixir in human blood,
right,
to create like the final.
You have to get the vital essence out of right. People have the spark of life, as they say, and it has to be refined down using the only source that's right. I'm sure he's yeah. Well, I dare say he's photographed every page of this book, but I'm still taking it.
Fair.
and then we're getting out of there.
Awesome.
Yeah, we're just yeah, just dropping down, stepping out through a wall, and running.
Perfect. Cool.
And I'm fortunately I don't have to. Lucid can do it. I don't have to, because Jocasta is just kind of curled up in a ball after that.
Awesome. Cool. So what we'll do now is we're just coming up on past, so we'll take a first break here. Come back. Actually, I'll say in about 10 minutes because I'm going to go and put the kettle on. But we'll see you all back at 22. We can have some last mundane actions if people want to sort of rest and recoup a bit, and then we'll run into the castle proper. But yeah, I will see you all back in about 10 minutes. Yeah, awesome. So. As I say, if people want to take another mundane action now, to do any sort of, like I said, last minute rest and recoup or whatever else, feel free to do so now. Otherwise, we can sort of fast forward to the next day and the confrontation. But
Lucid Jocasta is are balled up on a couch in front of the TV in the break room. Which, by the way, the TV is showing shows among other things has some new channels on it, including, for example, the room with the columns in it where we fought the statue.
Awesome.
Because I took that advance.
Nice.
Specifically, the advances scrying windows appear, able to observe the location you've been into the city and the castle, and so of course it's on the TV. Yeah,
cool.
It's like, okay, you push this button and then this button and then this button, and there you can. There's the black box, and there's the places in the castle we've been, and here's the art exhibit.
Perfect.
Because right, the TV just keeps getting better and better.
Absolutely.
So we're watching some soppy escapist thing.
Cool.
Because Lucid has never seen one, and because Jocasta needs something mindless.
Perfect. Is that a letting your hair down, do you think?
Let's just say recoiling and recoiling from a very close shave.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely fair. No, that is perfect. Cool. Harley, is there anything you would like?
And of course, the others notice that Jocasta looks different.
Yes, indeed.
I think Harley's going to hang out at the bar we established. That I know it was Jim's bar, I think.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
He's going to go there, have a drink, try to relax a bit, because he knows they're going to do something very dangerous that he doesn't quite understand, and he had made this big scene at work, so he needs to collect himself a bit, get away from all this weirdness, be somewhere familiar.
Absolutely. So which of the moves do you think you're going for?
Yeah, sorry, let your hair down.
Yep. Yeah. I assumed that was the one, but yeah. Cool. So let your hair down. That is a check with fealty.
Just roll 4 and a 1. I don't know what my fealty is. It's a weak hit.
Cool. So on a hit, you mark world and heal a condition.
Let's see. World, I'll heal. Ooh. I'll heal scared. He's getting some courage. But then there's, on a strong hit, you get something extra, but there's nothing.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Cool. No worries. Katie, is there anything you would like to do with a mundane action?
I think Katie will like come into the break room, like the
Hi.
and what was it you said you were watching? Like some sort of.
Oh, let's see. Some soppy, romantic. I don't know, some soppy romantic drama, I think.
Okay.
I don't. I feel free to pull one out of your head.
I think so. I think Katie will. I don't think Katie spends a lot of time watching TV. Like, because she spends her life, working in that. So maybe she just doesn't. If she watched it with you, she knows she'd just be critiquing the performances. Right?
She doesn't have a problem with that. The Jocasta tosses you the remote and says you can look at anything you want. We have some new channels. But nothing's happening in them, I don't think. But I just here also this, and tosses you the book.
I'll have a look at the book.
And we had a near miss getting this, but I found out where he got his idea from and what he's actually doing now and why it's awful.
You gonna be okay?
No, I'm dead.
Well, I mean,
no, and she and Lucid bursts into tears. Jocasta, does Jocasta exist in the break room? She does by herself, right? She bursts into tears. The tears, which is strange because the tears run off her face and disappear. Of course.
Sorry, I'm.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't do anything. I almost got caught. It was close. But I guess I'm caught anyway, so was it better? Right? I'm dead, and I just don't have this good sense to lie down and stop the way you're supposed to.
Well, maybe if we can figure this stuff out, we can find some peace for you.
Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, he's sucking some of the life force out of some of his patients to concentrate it and give it to others. He's trying to make the elixir of life, and unfortunately, you have to do that. It's in the book. Not that I understand the book, but I understand his notes.
Yeah, he said something to the effect of being able to keep people alive indefinitely.
That's what the ancients claimed that they could do. They claimed to have found the principle of life and have made it and distilled it into a formula. Anyway, so That's what he's trying to replicate their thing, but it unfortunately means. But the raw material to make the elixir is people's life force. So during the all-important research phase of this, you can only make the things you need by shortening people's lives. That's anyway. Whoever put him up to this probably gave him the book, gave him a magical trap to protect against people like me who can pass through walls and things. And it got me by the hair, and it wouldn't let go. And so I had to leave it behind.
Can I touch Jocasta in here?
Yeah, you can. She's solid enough.
So Katie's just gonna give you like a hug from behind. Oh, you got it.
She leans into it strong.
And you're here now, and we're gonna take care of you.
We're
gonna make sure this guy doesn't hurt anybody else.
I know I volunteered for this. I just and I'll be okay. I just got a fright. Because I thought I was more or less invulnerable here. Completely stuck in the castle, but here I'm the ghost. What are you gonna do? I'm already dead. It turns out you can still do things. So now what?
Now we wait for Harley, and we go do this thing.
Yeah. Let's go do this thing.
I think you're very brave. I didn't volunteer for this. I got sucked in, but
that's true. This isn't your doing.
But
I was just so. It started just with being furious, just with being so angry at being killed when I was a chief resident. At the end of working my ass off for 9 years so that I could be a surgeon. It's a long haul. And then I got killed. And it's like, you fuckers. When I didn't get to have a life.
Yeah.
And so it's like I found when I got trapped there, and I was just said, I got off. I was just remember wandering around the castle going, there's got to be a way out of here. And then Lucid showed up from wherever they came from. And I hitched a ride. But it was started with anger. I'm not as angry about it anymore. I'm still angry. Not as angry. No longer, I don't feel that white hot fury that I felt when I realized that I was dead. just like the sheer raw injustice of it all. I guess most people would be relieved to know that there was something after you die, right? You know, oh, hey, look, I'm not nothing. But being nothing would have been preferable to where I ended up when I died. Because that when that thing killed me, it trapped me. So maybe there's someplace you go when you die. Normally you go when you die, but I'm not there, and I don't know if I'll ever get there. Unless the castle breaks. And the castle goes on forever. Forever. So what's the chance of that?
I think there was the first time for everything.
Yeah, but the castle doesn't belong to one person, you know? It's all of these people like LeFevre, they just have a little bit of it. Castle's older than all of them, like maybe older than reality. Maybe it's just part of the way the world works.
So maybe we can't break the castle, but we can try and find a way to help you move on.
Smash the room with the mirrors. But nobody can even no one even can even perceive it except me. Well, that's not true. I could probably make you perceive it, but you wouldn't like it. It's beautiful. It's really lovely. Have I already told you about it?
No?
Would you like to know?
Not yet. Not yet.
I mean, it's not horrible at all. It's just horrible for me. It's it's like, well, I'll tell you when you want to know. So, okay, wait for Harley. So,
yep.
You can pick anything you want. And you can see a lot of places in the city and in the castle too now. Any place we've been. I figured out how to make the remote do that. It's really pretty cool thing, huh?
Yeah. I think Katie flicks through the channels and like briefly stops in one which seems to be like a cross between a sort of teenage detective drama and sort of supernatural mystery. And you briefly see like a character that looks a lot like Katie.
Hey, oh my God, is that you? Like when you were 15?
Oh God. Yeah.
It totally is. Back up.
Oh God. Yeah. Okay. So
this is great. Oh God, this is such trash. I love it. I want to see the whole thing. Oh gosh. Oh.
Okay.
Oh yeah, no, it's great.
So there's just Katie just sits back and is sort of mortified.
Yeah, and so Lucid's asking, probably asking like, Martian questions like, why is that person doing that? And Joecast is just snorting, and bursting out laughing. It's like, did that guy just die because he banged his head?
Yeah.
That's what it looks like. That he hit his, the guy punched him and he fell back and he hit his head on the wall and it killed him.
I think that's about when Harley shows up.
Oh my God, this is so bad. Did they? But it was good for your career, I bet, right? Because
Yeah.
this I remember it. A friend of mine said this ran for 3 seasons. So
4. Yeah, 4.
4. Oh, okay. I didn't hear about the 4th season. It must have been terrible.
Yeah, they didn't expect to get another a 4th season, so I guess the writers' room were really struggling for ideas. Yeah.
Either that or the showrunner had packed up and left, right? Oh, well, you even know. Why am I supposing? I heard that sometimes that's what happens, right? The showrunner goes on to another show, and then they're like, "Oh, what do we do now?"
Yeah.
I don't know. Have them fight some more demons.
Yeah, just I could probably have had any role after that I wanted. I just I wanted to spend some time, just figuring myself out.
Well, I'm glad it worked out really well for you, even if it's embarrassing. It's so embarrassing. Oh, this is perfect. This is perfect. This is exactly the kind of ridiculous thing I want to see. I want to see one where I want to fight stupid demons. Who, God, if demons would only cower in fear, like when you stood up to them like that. God, those are lame.
Yeah. Well, I don't have the ancient
But you are
blood running through my veins. So.
But you are so cute. Oh my God.
Oh.
You're so cute. I could totally see why they had you on the show. I mean, and you can act too. I mean, but you're so cute. Harley, isn't she cute?
I look at Harley with a help.
I brought some food.
Look at that hair and the little smile. This is the thing. No wonder, God, no wonder you had so much viewership. It's like on this thing just to watch, just to watch you do that thing with your eyes.
So she does the sort of trademark glare when you say that.
You can still do it.
I nailed that in the audition. That it's part of what made them decide to take me.
Yeah, I bet. So many crushes.
So I think I was going for let your hair down, but it ended up being check-in, I think.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I was on mute. Yeah, no, that sounds good. So yeah, if Katie, if you want to go with your hangout move first, and then we'll check in with Jocasta's.
Yeah, so mine is when you hang out with strength, you can talk through a condition you're struggling with. When you next miss a roll affected by that condition, you can heal it up or upgrade the result to a weak hit 7 to 9. So you didn't actually have any conditions marked, did you?
I don't think so. Actually, no. Although I'm just going to have a quick. I think, though, I'm happy to say if you want to choose one of your conditions, that's obviously not marked. And if that does then get marked, then that move will trigger, because it doesn't specifically say that it has to be one that you currently have. So I think that seems fair. Let's just get some use out of it.
And what's Jocasta's? I think Jocasta's only applies to the host.
Yeah, my crew hangout is just with Lucid. But I can still do it.
Yeah. Because this is because you're in a place where you don't have to be anchored to your host to be present. So I think that's fair if you want to choose one of those. I suppose if you wanted to refresh fetters, because I feel like you have already shared a memory of your old life.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah, cool. Perfect. So I think in terms of like the confrontation, normally we technically have to do like the getting into the thing and navigating to getting into the castle and navigating to the shard, but I don't feel like having those rolls in will really add much to it. So I think what we'll just do is just do the lift the mask move and let that sort of determine how easily you are able to traverse the castle and all that. Because I don't think it will add all that much to just have those sort of extra make work rolls in between in this instance. So lift the mask, as I mentioned before, when you disrupt the connection to the castle in the heart of a vessel's shard, roll 1 dice for each that is true and take the highest 2. So you've confronted the vassal in person in the city. That's a yes. You've uncovered the full details of what they're planning. That's a yes. You've met people the vassal holds dear, and you've defeated at least one of their enforcers. So that's going to be a roll with 4 dice in total, and taking the result of the highest 2. I will let one of you volunteer to roll those dice.
Not me. What what is a hit?
So on a
what are you rolling against?
Oh, sorry. I think this is a let me check. This is a sort of a standard roll. So it's a 6 minus 7 to 9, 10 plus. So it's just the highest 2 dice.
It's a roll.
It's not a
roll. Sorry, the flipping back and forth between the the trait rolls and the other things. Oh, okay.
I think.
All right. So roll 4 dice, take the highest 2.
Yeah, I think Treb's the one who's been rolling well. So,
yes, not me. Not after that triple 1. Thank you very much. Not rolling many more dice.
All right. Roll 4 dice then. That's 12. 12.
Perfect. So
we picked the right person to roll dice.
Indeed. So on a hit, you break the connection. They are vulnerable, but won't go down without a fight. On a 10 plus, pick 1 more. You break their confidence and you start the fight with an opening against them. You get under their skin and give a rebel's weapon Bane. That basically Bane just means check it. Yeah, it's particularly effective at like cutting through their defenses and other stuff that they put up, or subvert their power. If you defeat them now, each rebel can gain an extra boon in peace and quiet. That's basically the wrap up point if you defeat them, where you get to sort of take their power and use it to your own ends. So which of those do you think you want to go for?
Joe cast his vote mostly because of the name of the thing is to get under their skin, because she literally would like to do that. I'd like to open him like a trout. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's the best. So
I'm fine with any of them.
I would say it's definitely either break their confidence or get under their skin, because I don't think subvert their power is going to matter too much.
no, I don't think so.
No,
For
it would be
the
a flavor thing, I guess.
Much also
yeah, that's what I was going to say. My thinking was that we will, assuming you defeat the vassal, we will use the final peace and quiet, or the sort of rivers in the desert move to kind of frame your epilogues essentially. But yeah, I'd agree in terms of like mechanical weight. Yeah, one of the first two is probably the more sensible choice. So yeah, do you want to go for get under their skin then? I think there's, it's much of a muchness, I think, between that one and the first one. So
yeah, I'm fine with that.
I had a quick look at the boons on peace and quiet, and it seems it's not super useful to have more than one.
Yeah, cool.
So I vote for one of the others.
Yep, sure thing.
So let's take it under his skin.
Yeah, perfect.
And yeah. So if I can be allowed to be literal,
Absolutely.
I'll have his scalpel acquire Bane.
Yeah, perfect. And I think
Right.
I think actually
and I am the sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think what I think that the which will also give a kind of how you're able to effectively get there. I think Lucid will essentially volunteer to remain outside the castle, but will be basically essentially sort of use the big alchemical tome as like a focus to sort of open a portal directly into the heart of LeFevre's shard of the castle.
Yeah. So yeah, just before we start, then just as we make the transit, Jocasta takes out a little tool and writes LeFevre's name on the side of her scalpel.
Cool.
Now I've got a scalpel here with your name on it.
Awesome.
It just seems fitting.
Perfect. So as you as I say, Lucid will open up this like gateway, and in fact it possibly looks like the gateway we'd established earlier. It looks like it's got those kind of plastic strips hanging down, and that sort of cool ambient light, and there's sort of slightly chill to the air coming from it that from inside, and it sort of appears in the middle of your hideout, and as you step through, you enter a gleaming looking sort of antiseptic looking lab type environment. Lots of polished steel, lots of bright light, sort of that unforgiving, like almost like casts no shadow to speak of in the room. That's very constant bright light.
But it's like a whitish, harsh white light.
Yes? Yeah. And there is you can see like not exactly out of place, but there is lots of like sort of scientific glasswork, but it has that very, again, a slightly archaic look to it. It looks more like kind of it looks more like your sort of Hammer Horror mad scientist's lab setup rather than an actual modern research facility.
Does it have like does it have alembics and retorts?
Exactly, yeah, and lots
things
of
like that,
liquids
yes.
bubbling through them.
But alchemical looking
Exactly,
apparatus, yeah.
And as you enter, you will see a figure ahead of you. It's again slightly oversized, looks taller than a regular person, not by much, but probably sort of 7-8 foot tall figure. They are they're clearly wearing a big lab coat, or a big white coat anyway, but it's got that it's almost like almost moving like there isn't actually a person inside. It's almost like floating, and I think there is maybe a kind of almost like a plague doctor style mask as well, and they have again, it is a scalpel, but it looks more like it's oversized, but quite significantly oversized. It almost looks like a sort of halberd, but a scalpel
Yes.
shape.
It brought a knife to a knife fight. That's good.
Yeah. And as you step inside, in fact, I'll give you an opportunity to so doing. So you are sort of coming. You have the advantage as you're coming in. So yeah. How do you all look as you're coming in, and what do you plan on doing? I'm going to go to Harley first this time. I think. What do we see of Harley as you come in, and sort of what's not necessarily like what are you doing in the longer term, but what's sort of your first immediate action or reaction as you come into the room?
Yeah, Harley's looking very determined. He's got his mop caduceus raised, and he's staring. He looks around, and when he spots this giant floating lab coat thing, he's going to focus on that and start walking towards it. And he's here to fight, basically.
Cool. And Jocasta, how do you come into the room, and what do we see sort of you doing?
Jocasta is armed and armored for a fight. So in her metaphor, she's in full surgical, full scrubbed surgical regalia. So she's got the gown and the cap and the mask and the rubber gloves and the shoe covers. She has a scalpel in one hand and a clamp in the other hand. When she sees the figure in there in the lab coat, you can tell that she smiles, even if you can't see her face.
Awesome. And Katie, how about you?
I think Katie is just like casually walking in, and has her techno wand out, and it's got like a bit on it that's like a cylinder that pops out, kind of like the revolver, ammo bit. And it basically is like spinning it, and and just gets is standing with her wand like a pistol, like she's at a duel about to get ready to draw down.
And that is when the figure kind of turns in your direction. The voice, when it speaks, it sounds like LeFevre as a voice, but it's more resonant and more booming as they speak. It says, I should have expected you to be here as well. I do not know how you have done it or why, but you are nothing but gnats distracting me from my work. I will become as a god, and I will be a benevolent one. I will help humanity rise above the constraints of mortality and become something more. And I think we'll give like a kind of a flourish of this oversized scalpel, and say, now, will you leave me to my work, or will you force me to excise you from this place?
Yours may be bigger, but I bet mine is sharper.
Oh, just you try.
I do not try. I succeed. And I think at that...
Jocasta knocks over a piece of glassware with her elbow and goes, oops.
Cool. And I think he will, his the mask will sort of snap around to you, and he will say, "Meddlesome creatures, be gone from this place." And I am sorry. Bear with me 1 second. Yeah, I think we'll say that is probably a confront. If you would like to,
Yes.
if you would like to make that roll, Jocasta, with
Yes,
that's with swords.
Yes, that is totally a confront.
Yeah,
Screwing with his stuff.
Exactly.
All right. 2d6 and swords. Yes. It's a 7.
7. Cool. So, you obviously will successfully kind of distract LeFevre, and this will create an opening. But you will take a condition for doing so. But you do get to pick one option off of the following list, which is obviously you resist the full force of their blows. You can keep them from moving from where they are, or you give an ally a window to act freely.
I'll resist the full force of their blows. And
yeah.
Are you going to tell me which condition I get?
No, that's fine. As you resist the full force of their blows, you will not take a condition.
Oh, okay.
So no, that's fine.
Because it implies that you get a condition anyway.
Yeah.
I wasn't clear on that.
Yeah, no, that's fine. So yeah, and I think this is quite simply that you resist the full force of their blows because they are angered and distracted, but they don't yet move to strike you. Though what you will notice is they're wielding this scalpel and sort of almost like a halberd, almost like a lance as well, kind of couching under one arm, and with the other arm, it withdraws from within this coat a large sort of globe-shaped bottle that clearly contains a bubbling sort of violet coloured liquid with a cork in the top, and they're clearly preparing to throw it.
Right.
But yes, you have created an opening. In fact, I think what will happen is that they will throw the vial, and it like it explodes in a glob of sort of steam and liquid blasts out, but you're able to kind of evade it as it kind of.
And I'm wearing a gown, right?
Yeah.
Metaphorical armor.
Exactly. But yeah, you avoid it. Harley, you were advancing on the doctor. What would you like to do?
You've got an opening.
Yeah. I think I have to strike. My problem is that with Harley's mood right now, he's going to use direct force, which he is not very good at. But I can use the strength. Yeah, strength covenant move. Use your emotions for power. When you put everything you have into an action, mark an appropriate condition and roll plus strength ranks instead of the normal stat. I have 1 rank in strength, so I will roll. Ooh, I think I have to check callous, which is really bad, but because now he's so angry, he's just focused on stopping this. Stopping the evil doctor.
Yeah, sure thing. So if you would like to make that roll, and we'll see how this goes.
So that's an 8 with a +1 is a 9.
Awesome. On a 7 to 9, that's a hit. So you will remove the opening and break one of the foe's qualities, but you will suffer some consequences for that, which we'll get into in a second. But how does it look as you go in for the strike? As I said, we'll see. They're wielding this this scalpel like a halberd. They clearly have these sort of vials of liquids on sort of you can hear them sort of jingling around in its cloak. The other thing you'll notice actually as you get closer is that underneath this sort of like lab coat thing, it just seems to be like a mass of bandages almost sort of floating around inside. But how does this strike look as you come in?
Yeah, as he's distracted by Jocasta, so which gives Harley an opening to move in close. He's just been like marching forward, but Jocasta distracted LeFevre. So by the time he swings the giant scalpel around, Harley is close enough that he can block it with his caduceus and then strike at those vials he's got inside his coat. So those are the ones, and he breaks some of them probably.
Yeah, absolutely. You swing in and you hear the sound of crashing glass inside, and there's an explosion of fluids and again gases, sort of various different colors as they kind of intermingle and react with each other. and this there's this sort of cloud of noxious substances escape out. So I am going to what's going to happen is that there is going to be now this a kind of fog of noxious gases starts to kind of spiral out from around, and that is going to be a bit of an obstacle for people as they fight against them, at least for a short time. Harley, I'm also going to ask you to you can, if you wish, attempt to dodge, because otherwise you are going to be hit by the spray of noxious fluids.
Yeah, I'm going to try. I have disadvantage because I'm angry.
Sure thing.
And dodge is once.
Once, that's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
I have a +1. But
I will say basically what this is going to do to you, because there is a kind of a metaphysical nature to the thing. This will basically be you marking a point of your blood gauge if it hits. So
Sure.
you know, if you think, if you're happy to take that, then you can. But you know, that's.
I'll make the roll.
Yeah.
Let's see. So with disadvantage, that's a 5, 6.
Yeah. So you are going to take the full force of this blast. So yeah, you can mark me a point of your blood track, please. But you do get to mark up a point of world as well as your for
Right.
failing the roll.
That takes. Now I filled my world.
Excellent. Yeah, so you can take a world advance if you would like.
Yeah, I'll figure that out while someone else does.
That is absolutely fair. Cool. So yeah, Katie, the as I say, yeah, you've heard this shattering crash from the vials breaking. There's now this sort of cloud of gas expanding out from the doctor. But what do you do?
I'm gonna aim my wand at him and say a nonsense word and fire a spell at him.
Awesome.
Sparkling on us.
So that sounds like another confront there. So yeah, if you would like to roll with swords.
Okay, swords +1. Remove those. That's a 6.
Okay, so a 6 will be a fail. So again, you get to mark a point of world in consolation, but I think that what is going to happen is you fire fire a blast from your wand at the doctor, but as the blast hits in, goes into this cloud of gas, it explodes outwards. It's going to kind of the backdraft from it kind of hits you full force and slams you back against the wall. I'm going to ask you to push through the pain, please. So if you'd like to roll with conditions marked. So we'll see how that goes.
So with conditions marked, that's an 11.
Ouch. So
time to make a good roll.
So on a 10+, it's crushing. You have to pick one of the options. You can mark 2 conditions and get fleeting advantage acting on each. So essentially, for the first time you act using those two things affected by those conditions, you will not suffer any ill effect from them, but you obviously will in time. You can collapse unconscious until the current danger has passed. Or you can shift a rank of world to void and unleash this new strength in a brutal and indiscriminate way.
I just gained a rank of world.
It's also, really implies something nasty. That last one.
Yeah.
It's
How does that work though?
So you basically you would if you would obviously your world would go down to back down to 0. Your void would go back up to a 2, and you would get a void advance as part of that. But yes, obviously something unpleasant
also
will happen.
Yeah, and probably to you as well as everybody else.
Yeah. It's a bit like the kind of lose control in Masks, that sort of idea.
I would just take see callous and overwhelmed.
Sure thing. So essentially, the first time you roll one of those, each one of those. So in this case, probably most likely stand with me and line it up. You will roll it normally, but for subsequent ones, you'll be rolling with disadvantages normal. Cool. So I think we'll just take a quick break at that point. Just until 22 again, basically, and then we'll pick things up again. So see you all in a couple of moments.
Water, it secretly pretends to be your friend.
Indeed. Okay, perfect. We've the plus and minus side of it all. The big explosion does seem to have cleared the majority of this noxious gas away, but it's obviously hit Katie fairly hard. Harley is still kind of facing off against the doctor. Jocasta, what do you do?
I'm going to take the concept of making an opening literally.
Excellent.
I'm going to slash him with my scalpel.
Yeah, absolutely. As you well, no, I'll give you this anyway. As you kind of slash at him with the scalpel, you'll definitely feel like there is definitely some resistance from underneath the lab coat, but it definitely feels like it's mostly from this sort of like, it's got that kind of feeling of cloth, that sort of bandagey feeling underneath it. But yeah, you can absolutely feel that anyway. But yeah, if you'd like to make your roll, so it will be a roll with swords, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. So, and my weapon for what it's worth has both piercing and bane on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, in fact, with both piercing and bane, I'll say you can have advantage on this roll because, it's just gonna cleave through the lab coat like it wasn't there.
That's a 12.
Perfect. So on a hit, you will create an opening, but you get to pick two. You get to pick two options off of the confront list. Resist the full force their blows, keep them from moving from where they are, or give an ally a window to act freely.
Resist the full force and give an ally a window. And Katie needs, if that benefits Katie, that's who I'm going to give. Otherwise, if it's more important to give Harley an opportunity to.
Either works for me, but yeah, I'm happy to throw things over to Katie, as I think you slice through the kind of this, and it definitely has a kind of armored feel to it. The lab coat, it's like thick and yeah, just it's like thick and almost leathery, but not actually leather.
Right.
But it just slips open like butter underneath your scalpel. And Katie, yeah, you know, as you're kind of staggering back to your feet, you will see that there's this just perfect rent in the lab coat, revealing sort of writhing bandages underneath.
I think Katie will try like with one eye closed, like like she's taking she's trying to she's trying to do a dead eye shot sort of thing, and she's just gonna like try and shoot at the wound.
Perfect. Yeah. So yeah, if you'd like to make that roll, so that will be a strike. I'm presuming probably. Actually, I suppose if you go with precise, that could be coins rather than direct force of swords.
My coins. Yeah, coins is actually worse for me, but okay.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I think either is certainly applicable here. It is definitely an application of force you're using, so I'm happy to go with that.
It's another 6.
Oh no. Yeah, and I think that what will happen here is I think that you shoot a blast of energy, and it pierces through this hole in the coat. It hits these bandages, and it tears a hole through them. But the bandages, these now sort of like untethered ends of bandages, surge out of the hole in the coat and seek out for you, and they are going to wrap and begin to kind of cocoon you as these bandages swarm out. The opening is still there. That is only, I believe, removed on a hit. So there is still an opening there. But I'm going to ask Harley, what do? You can see clearly, obviously, Katie is being like grappled and cocooned by these bandages, but the doing so has clearly distracted this LeFevre's avatar from you. So you do also have a clear line of attack on him if you wish to use that instead.
Yeah, this is tricky.
Hit him.
I want to do stand with me, but I have disadvantage because I'm callous.
Hit him.
So that's not great.
Oh, bastard.
But I think I'm going to strike. Yeah, I will take this opportunity. And since he's distracted, I think I can use stealth and guile and roll with wands instead, maybe.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I think what's happening is actually I'll make the roll first and
yeah, sure. Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Yeah, so 2 dice. That's a 3 plus 1 does not matter.
No.
So I think Harley's trying to sneak around behind the doctor, but he steps on the glass of the broken vials and gives himself away. So the doctor reacts before he can strike, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, as that glass breaks, the doctor is going to spin around and lash out at you with the scalpel. I am going to give you the opportunity to dodge this if you wish.
Is there any disadvantage to dodging?
Miss is always worse.
Yeah,
a miss is probably gonna be worse than just taking the injury often, but yeah.
Yeah, let me see. I have disadvantage on dodging because I'm angry. So I think I'll just take it.
Yeah, no, that is fair. So I think it's he slashes at you with this scalpel, and it's that thing of, for a moment, it almost you can't feel it. For a moment you think maybe he missed, but then blood is going to start seeping out from there's sort of a cut across sort of your across your face. Sort of the blood starts to run down, and yeah, you are actually no. So it's probably, no. We'll say face. That's fine. You can feel the sort of blood running down, and yeah, you're bleeding quite nastily in it, and it shows no sign of closing anytime soon. As you start to bleed. This is probably not going to be good for you in the long run, but there's no immediate disadvantage to that other than the obvious. So Jocasta, things are looking you're looking in a bit of a tight spot here. What do you
I'm going to turn, and I'm going to attack the bandages that have Katie trapped.
Absolutely.
Slash at them, which is a stand by me, albeit with a scalpel.
Yeah, sure thing. Actually, I am going to give you the opportunity here. There is still an opening, and those bandages are definitely one of his conditions. One of his not conditions, so one of his qualities. So if you wish to make it a strike, that's also cool.
I'll try it. I'll do a strike then. See if I can break it. I'm just going in and trying to cut him.
Yep, sure thing.
No subtlety, nothing. It's like there's a tumor and it needs to be cut out.
Sure thing.
That's an 8.
An 8?
Or not, it's a 9, but it doesn't make a difference.
Yeah, sure thing. Cool. So you will you cut through these writhing bandages, and Katie is freed. They drop to the floor. The sort of ends of them retreat back inside the coat, and you will actually notice now that before, like I said, you could see this like writhing mass of bandages inside. They seem to solidify into almost like a plaster cast inside, so it looks a bit tougher and harder inside, but it no longer has the opportunity to like writhe out and entangle people with these bandages. In the course of this, however, and I think as you do that, and it kind of draws back up inside itself, it launches itself towards you. And slashes at you with a scalpel as well. So if you can mark me a condition, please.
Yeah.
Again, of your choice. That's
Yeah, angry's an easy one.
Yep, absolutely. Cool. So, Katie, you are freed from the bandages. This thing has just launched an attack against Jocasta, but it seems to be a lot more defensive now. Its coat has been torn, and you can see this like hard mass of bandages underneath it. What do you do?
So Katie is going to basically stand up and start shouting at this avatar of LeFevre and say, "Look at you! Look at what you're doing! You're supposed to be a doctor. What's the what is it that what's the oath that they make you swear when you become a doctor? Do no harm. What do you think you're doing right now?"
Awesome. So I feel like this could potentially either be line it up or confront. Which of those do you think is more in line with what you're trying to do?
I think
Because both of them are about kind of exposing a weakness, but
I think it's more confront.
Yep, that's fair. It did seem fairly confrontational, but yep, that's cool. So yeah, if you would like to make me a roll with swords.
So I do want to use like a move.
Oh yeah, no, go ahead. Yeah, sorry. Obviously, if you have a move to use, then do always feel free to chime in. I am not keeping track of
my emotions for power. When you put everything you have into an action, I mark an appropriate condition to roll plus strength. So that's free.
Nice.
So instead of a 5 or a 6, that's actually 7.
Yeah. 7, perfect. Yep, that is great. So you will create an opening. But by default, they will get an opportunity to to lash out against you. However, you do get to pick one option from the list to resist the full force of their blows, to keep them from moving from where they are, or to give an ally a window to act freely.
Yeah, I need to mark a condition for that, so I'm gonna mark scared.
Yep.
And let's see, confront. You give an ally a window to act freely. Yeah.
Sure thing. So yeah, it does. As you say this, there's a kind of almost like a kind of now an inhuman quality to the voice as he says, I swore not to harm people, but you are just buzzing insects. You are nothing. And it will lunge at you once again with the scalpel. So if you could mark me another condition, please.
Is that all of them?
So what happens if I fill up and all?
That is kind of, at that point you are rendered inoperative, as it were, for the rest of the encounter. That is the sort of the takeout type situation.
I think I can take the condition for you.
I think so.
Code would be the one I have to take. So
let's see. Yeah, so long as you're standing side by side with other rebels, you can mark a condition instead of them, and vice versa. Yeah, so I'll take that. Do I take that specific condition?
Yes, that's correct. Yep.
Yeah, so it was what was it? Scared,
Cowed.
cowed. Yeah. Okay. Oof. Yeah. Yeah. I'll do that.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, how does that look, Harley, as you kind of intercept this attack?
Yeah, I think he intercepts it quite literally. He puts himself in the way, or maybe he pushes Katie out of the way, and he's nearly hit himself, and that's why he is. Because it's not a physical condition really.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, absolutely. No, that's cool. Yeah, that I like that. Yeah, that's cool. And yeah, I'm going to ask you as well. What do you do next? Because I think you have obviously did still get the give someone else an opportunity to act. So I think it's clear that the for as in as bad a condition as you all are, the Dr. LeFevre does not seem to be much better off himself.
yeah.
I'm going to.
Yeah, you do something. Okay.
No. I'm not. No, I'm going to do something to help you because it's still your action. So he's right. So Katie's made an opening. Yeah. I mean, she got
yes, that is
she
correct.
got plastered, but she did make an opening.
That
right?
is right. Yep.
I don't know if this counts as fighting style, but I'm going to spend my hold that I got when he hurt me.
Yep.
Because I have vagabond. And I would say, I said, you're holding the symbol of the Hippocratic Oath. Harley, invoke it. Invoke Hippocrates at him.
Yeah, that sounds like a great idea, actually. I think this is because Harley, I don't think he knows this consciously, but in the state he is right now, he kind of embodies the caretaker's charge of the mission of caring for other people, and trying to heal them, and with that he starts reciting the Hippocratic Oath, and basically just holding his caduceus in, and holding it up against the doctor.
And so, yeah, my spend will give you advantage or nullify disadvantage for this roll.
Which I need because I have disadvantage on strike because I'm cowed.
Yeah, cool. And this is a strike. I think this is probably going
emotional
to be
appeals is what I'm going for.
Exactly, yeah.
So that's cups, which I think I have 2, and it's 2 dice since the advantage and disadvantage cancels out, and I roll I roll snake eyes.
Oh dear. So
these dice are terrible.
This has not gone well. This has not gone well. But however, you will. What will happen is as you are reciting this, You'll start to feel a little faint as the blood continues to pour down you from this bleeding wound. And I'm going to ask you to make me a push through the pain roll to keep going.
Sure. So that
You're trying to get low on this one.
yes.
And that's plus the number of conditions you have marked.
Yeah, so +3, but at least I don't have disadvantage, so that's something. And 5, so 8.
That could be worse.
Could be worse. Yeah. So on an 8, you the pain hits home. Mark a condition and get fleeting advantage acting on it.
And what does that mean? The fleeting advantage?
So basically, the next time you roll using that on a roll that's affected by that condition,
right.
you effectively cancel out the disadvantage for that one roll.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. I'll take overwhelmed.
Yeah, sure thing.
I'm not any good at either line it up or confront.
No worries. No worries. Cool. So
we still have an opening.
you still
right?
have an opening.
Still have an opening.
So yeah, Katie, yeah, you know, obviously you're kind of all up in a melee now, but you and Harley are both looking fairly battered. What do you do?
Can I have a chance to help her?
Yeah, sure, if you wish.
Absolutely. So I'm going to dive my free hand into a pocket and come out with a syringe. And I say, here, let me take away some of the pain. And I take Katie's arm and run the syringe into a vein and press it home. This is Stand By Me.
Awesome.
7.
It's yeah. It's there.
Fingernails.
It's there.
Fingernails.
So Katie, on a 7 to 9, you get to pick one of the options, which are you're safe from a danger. You're not currently in a particular. Well, I mean, existentially, yes, but not immediate. You can heal a condition. It will target Jocasta, or you get fleeting advantage on your next roll.
I think since I'm one condition away from being taken out, I need to heal a condition, and I will heal scared.
Sure thing.
Okay, now you can go.
All right. So she's gonna keep keep on the same track, but she's thinking back to the conversation that they had with LeFevre's grandmother, and it's like this isn't what you started out studying medicine for. You wanted to help people. I know you did.
Yeah, excellent. And that sounds to me like a strike with an appeal to emotion.
Mm-hmm. So that is a +1. Roll.
Your dice are broken.
That's a 6.
I will point out, I believe, let me check. You just double checking, sorry, bear with me 1 second.
Do they have fleeting advantage?
Sorry, I'm confusing. Am I confusing you with someone else? Sorry about that. Oh yeah, you can. You do still have access to your strength move if you wanted to use that, which would
bump it up to an 8.
Yep.
Yeah, I think I'll do that. I will remark scared.
Yeah, absolutely. But your words seem to break through, but I am helping people. I will help people, but you can hear the like lack of certainty growing in the voice, and as his voice trembles and becomes more indistinct, first the blade to the scalpel just shatters and disintegrates into sort of into metal shards on the floor. The cracks run through the hard shell of bandages and they drop to the floor, and finally the cloak, the lab coat, just drops down to the floor, the mask landing on top of it, and a voice just says, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And a shard of strange, almost looking like obsidian but less solid, floats up and hovers above the fallen avatar. So what we're going to do here, because we are coming up quite hard on time, and I want to do a little epilogue type bit. So what the game has is, the idea is when you defeat a vassal, there is a move called Rivers in the Desert. This gives you 5 options. Each one of you gets to choose one thing that you do with the power that is released from the vassal as they're defeated. And I should say as well, this is the defeat of their manifestation in the castle and not their actual human form. You gain reformation, which basically is the vassal grows a newfound conscience. They'll publicly confess to their crimes, though the castle will avenge them with or without their consent. Liberation, which is you push the castle away from your city, bringing a glimpse of equality, health, and happiness to its residents. Expropriation, you extract material benefits from the castle's systems. Redefinition, you feed parts of yourself to the hungry dark, gaining something new in their place. Or occupation, you take the vassal's place in the castle's hierarchy. What these were we continuing on after this, each of these has mechanical effects as well. But what I think here is I'll give you all the opportunity to just have a last little epilogue scene using one of those things as a kind of thematic what's it for it. So I will give you all a moment to think that over. I won't rush you, but when someone is ready.
What tier does this fellow represent?
Oh, I think I kind of had them pegged as about a tier 2, I think. I wasn't 100% following the rules on that for just for ease of getting through stuff. But yeah, that was broadly where I had them pegged.
I think we've got about a dozen marks of world that we haven't made as well with all the
Yes.
Indeed. Cool.
So we each pick one of these options.
Yep, and multiple people can pick the same one if you wish. But
Yeah.
but like I said, in this case, it's more about the how that influences your little epilogue scene than anything else.
Yeah, I'll pick liberation. Liberation, and it was a tier 1 or tier 2.
Tier 2, we'll say, yeah.
I think draw a link between two locations. I think I'll link the bar and the hospital, maybe.
Sure.
Cool.
A janitor's closet that goes right to the bar.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Cool. And what's
anybody else finds mops?
Yeah. And what's the little epilogue we see of Harley that kind of shows this, like I said, this idea of the castle retreating a little from the city and just a little more lightness returning to the world.
I think I have to think a bit about it. So if someone else,
sure, no worries. Yeah. Has anyone else made that choice and have a little epilogue they want to do?
Almost. I'll wait until last.
No worries. So Jocasta, how about you?
I think I figured it out.
Yes.
So,
go ahead.
Because there's this, I had to think about this weird. You can find secret streets linking them that your enemies cannot walk, with shops, clubs, and hostels that would astound the city's everyday inhabitants. I think what happens is that Harley finds these strange places, and he starts bringing people there who kind of need it, both from the hospital and people he run into at the bar or like outside. So he will guide them to these weird back streets where they can get a good night's rest and get a good meal or something.
Perfect. Yeah, that's really awesome. Thank you.
Yes, I figured it out.
Cool. Excellent. Yeah.
And so I'll just narrate it. If you if you pick the right channel on the TV, you can see the alchemical laboratory, except all the equipment's been replaced by modern scientific equipment. And there are lab techs there that are running experiments and noting down things on laptops and things like that. It's an active research laboratory that's working on actual, humane ways of doing life extension. And maybe every so often there's an obscure publication in some journal somewhere.
Awesome. I like it.
That's hard. Of course, it's hard to track down the laboratory, but people can still duplicate the results, and that's what matters. So yeah, I've taken occupation. And Jocasta has taken over this lab and we're doing real research there in the castle, under the fucking nose of whoever it is that owns this place.
Awesome. I like it. Thank you very much. And Katie, what do we see of you?
So I am going to go with expropriation. It says extract material benefits from the castle systems. can I basically what I'm thinking is like something of like LeFevre's experience and persona, like she's able to absorb that a little bit and use it in her portrayal of the character she's playing, and so we see her delivering like this great like scene in the studio. She's doing a scene for the show that she's been studying for, and they say cut, and they're really pleased with her, and basically before we cut away from that, like Katie like stops to look at like the rushes, or what's been recorded, and the image of Katie, because I took this advance in world, the image of Katie turns to look directly at her and say, "Hey Katie, we need to talk."
Nice.
As
nice.
an added little bit, when after cut goes, one of the directorialists, the director of photography or something like that says, "Wow, Katie, it sounded like you knew just what you were talking about."
Awesome. Brilliant. Well, that was great. Thank you very much, everyone. I'm going to stop our recording now, but I've had a lot of fun with this. I hope you all have too. But yeah, thank you very much.